Getting everything ready to go. Getting everything ready to go. 1 second. Waiting for things to go live. Oh, forgot about that one. Let's see. Looks like we're live everywhere. This is great. I wasn't planning on going live today, but I felt like it was important to do so with all the articles I'm reading about what's happening in Texas. Excuse me. Um, so let me just make sure I'm streaming to the other places that the other networks don't want you to stream to. I think we should be good. Let me just make sure. It should play automatically, right? I don't know how this works. It doesn't refresh on its own. All right. Oh, you know what? I don't even have my headphone. Okay, we just won't play any videos. I think, or well, if I want to do the Discord, I need my headphones, don't I? Well, that's a problem. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. I'll pause when I get to that point that we start taking phone calls if we take phone calls. But what I really wanted to do, if you guys can bear with me, because I'm seeing a lot of comments, even from people I love and respect, that keep talking about how great this Texas pro-life law is, and there's a lot of lies coming from this law that I want to address. Uh, and this isn't just before we get started. This isn't about abolitionism versus incrementalism. It's not about that. We can have that discussion at a different point. But what I'm seeing is a lot bigger than that. It's that there's a basic understanding of economics that the pro-life industry doesn't understand. I explained to somebody, Mark Harrington, by the way, who does a pro-life radio show. I explained to him on Facebook that what this bill does is decentralizes the abortion industry. And he goes, well, isn't that a good thing? And I think that I think that explains where we are with this. It is not decentralizing murder is not a good thing. Decentralizing businesses is a good thing. Decentralizing printing and creating the printing press is a good thing. Decentralizing helicopter pilots and creating drones is a good thing. Decentralizing taxi cab industry, creating Uber and Lyft is a good thing. Decentralizing the film industry, what Lore plans to do, and sort of to some degree what Netflix did or attempted, is a good thing. So decentralization in business is a good thing, but the decentralization of crime is a bad thing, right? This is like the dark net. Think about Silk Road, right? One of the things. Well, let's just do the drug industry. We know that marijuana. Let's do marijuana. That's an easier one to understand with actual law, right? So if you're one of those people that say, well, we should ban marijuana, we should make marijuana illegal. Um, the what happens is you create black markets. You create these sort of industries which are seedy and harder to calculate, right? Now we can get into whether or not that's a good thing because marijuana is evil or whatnot, but I just want to use this as a practical example. Assuming that marijuana is not evil, and then you pass the law, all these laws, people are being arrested, and what you're creating is this black market where it's hard to calculate where the marijuana is coming from and all these other sort of things. You're creating this sort of decentralized industry that's harder for the government to really control. And so when we look at the abortion industry, which should not exist at all, um, we have this sort of issue where when we regulate the abortion industry, capitalism is naturally going to move towards easier access, right? They used to, another phrase I used to hear a lot when music piracy was all the thing, and you could download albums on Napster and all that other stuff. One of the phrases I heard was, well, piracy is a distribution problem, right? The reason people are pirating music is because it's too hard, too expensive to get it the other way. And so what we're seeing now is the abortion industry is having a distribution problem created by the pro-life laws in Texas. And so first off, I want to be very clear because I'm hearing this throughout the day. Abby Johnson's tweeting about it. Pro-life people are tweeting about it. They're talking about how the abortion industry is done in Texas. It's ended. The abortion industry is ended. It is over. That is not the case. And by the way, if you're in the chat and you're watching this, if you could send me some of the finer points of SB 8 in terms of the loopholes, that would be really helpful because I'd like to maybe point out some of those problems. But I want to talk about it purely from an economic system. One, the abortion clinics are open today. John Speed was out at the abortion clinic this morning. He was filming. There's a big sign that says, "We are open. We're not closed." Right? So he told me that there were film crews at the abortion clinic in Texas, Holin's Health in Texas today. There were film crews. And when the abortion doctor walked into the clinic, business as usual, the film crews turned their cameras the other way. Because they want to perpetuate this narrative that the abortion clinics are closed. Now, I said publicly, and I will agree, that there are a lot of women who would get an abortion who don't know all the loopholes and just won't get one. Or they'll travel out of state and get one. But for the most part, there will be women who, thank God, will keep their babies. But the other problem we have to understand is that the abortion industry now is very quickly pushing for over-the-counter abortions to happen and take place. And this is the concerning thing, because this is not something you can calculate. You can't calculate how many people go to Walmart and they're getting a sack of potatoes and over-the-counter abortion medication. There's nonprofit organizations right now with a website women in Texas can go to and get a free chemical abortion sent to them. This is great news for the abortion industry. I want you to understand this. This is great news for the abortion industry, and there's practical example after example as to how regulating an industry creates you say we just banned pills. Damon says we just banned pills by mail and pills by pharmacy. I understand that, Damon, but did the senator pass that law? I mean, I'm sorry, not the senator, but did the governor sign that? Can you post a link to that being signed into law? And if anybody is watching this and they happen to be near a Walmart, can you walk into a Walmart and show me if there's it's on the governor's desk, so it hasn't been signed yet. Well, we'll see what happens. Oh, that should have been done. What are the exemptions in that law, Damon? Do you know what the exemptions are in that law? I'd be curious to see. And by the way, I would be shocked. I'd be shocked to see if this is an outright ban. I feel like this is just placated, so it's not signed yet. Same as the heartbeat law. Okay, so the bill. So as of right now, women are flocking to the shelves to get abortion pills. If anybody knows the details of that bill that Damon is speaking about, I'd like to know. I imagine there's some loopholes in there that's pretty harsh. Damon, can you send me that bill, the link to that bill? So you have to get the pill from a physician. So does that mean the physician has to have it directly, or can I go somewhere to fill my prescription? So I have to go to the actual abortion clinic. So they're still giving. So this bill is this bill is still keeping abortion clinics open now. So because they can go to an abortion doctor directly. Okay, can you send me a link to that bill? I'd like to read that. Because that sounds like a law where that's one of those laws where they're actually writing permission. They're actually writing permission for this to happen. So it's a law that says, here's how you can get your pills. Why is it? Why are they still allowing the chemical abortions to take place at all? That's not a good bill at all. If somebody could send me the link to that text, I would love to read the text of that bill. But are there mental health exceptions to that bill? Like like SB 8, there's a mental health bill exception. I wonder if John Speeds read that bill and what his thoughts are on that bill. But shouldn't they have included that in SB 8 just in general? So let's assume that this bill gets rejected at the Supreme Court let's assume for the sake of argument that this bill gets rejected at the Supreme Court, or the governor doesn't sign it, it doesn't become a law for some reason. Let's assume that. I imagine there's a lot of loopholes and stuff that were missing, but Damon hasn't sent the link, even though he's commenting on it. Send the link to the bill. I want to read it. So anyway, let's assume for the sake of argument that the Texas Supreme Court bans that bill. And because I imagine that Walmart, CVS, and Walgreens are all going to put their money in opposition to that bill. So there's going to be a lot of opposition to that. We'll see what happens. But let's assume for the sake of argument that bill doesn't get passed. Now we have a problem created by the pro-life industry where the regulation of the industry has provided a massive problem. So it's sort of like Uber, right? If you guys know, the taxi cab industry was highly regulated. FAA is highly regulated. Helicopter pilots are very expensive. And then comes along things like the ability to build your own drone or the ability to get Uber. And it makes aerial photography and the ability to get a ride far easier than ever. Now, I know that, Damon, you're really passionate about this bill, and I hope it gets passed. But the fact that you can still go into an abortion clinic and get it from a physician isn't very encouraging to me at all. It's not very encouraging to me because my first thought is that most people are going to go to abortion doctors to get the pill, right? That's going to be the physician. And then the abortion doctors are just going to claim mental health. Well, obviously, this is a mental health issue, and they're just going to wind up getting regular abortions anyway. So it's going to actually give women a reason publicly to actually go to the abortion clinic and get an abortion and be seen by an abortion doctor. That's what that law is going to do. And I'm thinking through this. And so hopefully someone will send me the link to the bill at some point. Let me see if I can find it. I'll pull it up. since maybe Facebook doesn't let you send links in a live stream. That's probably what it is. I'll pull it up real quick and we'll go through that. And if anybody knows more about this abortion bill, if anybody knows more about both bills and you want to join the call, let me know. Let's pull this bill up. Oh, finally, Damon. SB4. Let's read. Introduce, Senate Committee, engrossed, enrolled. I guess that would be the last one. Do you know if this law, Damon? Callie, do you know the specifics of this this legislation for the abortion pill? So I want to read the actual text. Let's get through all the related to abortion, medical abortion, definitions. A person may not knowingly provide an abortion-inducing drug to a pregnant woman for the purpose of inducing the abortion in pregnant women or enabling another person to induce an abortion in a pregnant woman unless the person who provides the abortion-inducing drug is a physician and the provision of the abortion-inducing drug satisfies the protocol authorized by this subchapter. A manufacturer, supplier, physician, or any other person may not provide a patient or any abortion-inducing drug by courier, delivery, or mail service before the physician provides an abortion-inducing drug and a mail service. Okay, so it's not. Okay, so before the physician provides an abortion-inducing drug, the physician must examine the pregnant woman in person, independently verify that a pregnancy exists, and document in the woman's medical record the gestational age and intrauterine location of the pregnancy to determine whether an ectopic pregnancy exists. Determine the pregnant woman's blood type, and for a woman who is Rh negative, offer to administer Rh blah 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 blah, perform blah 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 blah. Document whether the pregnant woman received treatment. Callie, do you think this is a good bill? Callie, do you think it's a good bill? Let me know. I'd be interested to see. Callie, why is this not a good bill? Can you chat with me? Can you video chat with me and talk about this bill? Waiting to see, because I really want to get to the bottom of this. On my Discord, I'll post a link to the Discord for you. One second, Callie. I'll send it to you in a private message too, to make sure you get it. We're gonna get to the bottom of this. We'll get to the bottom of this, I promise. While we're waiting for him, while we're waiting for him, I just want to be very clear that the abortion clinics were open today. The pro-life industry is talking about how they're closed, and that's just an outright lie. And that's probably what infuriates me the most. The outright lies of the pro-life industry. While currently, because they didn't include it in the first bill, there are no bans against over-the-counter abortifacients. There are no bans. And so it'll be interesting to see. I wonder if that bill includes Plan B, because I got one guy arguing with me today, and he was saying that Plan B doesn't fit the classification of an abortifacient or an abortion-inducing because it's being marketed as stopping ovulation. So I imagine that Plan B won't be affected by that bill, but it's more harder treatment, like more specific abortion-inducing bills. But we'll find out. Which is a lie, by the way. Plan B is an abortifacient. I pulled up the article today from the FDA from 2015 saying that it does actually eject a conceived baby at conception. So let's see. So I'll wait for Callie to see if he joins, and then he can kind of go over that bill specifically. But let's assume this bill doesn't get passed. Or let's say, for example, I heard that Florida is looking to pass a similar law as Texas today. Let's say they don't do the abortion bill like they should. What we're having is an economic crisis where we're decentralizing the abortion industry, and that's incredibly dangerous. It's incredibly dangerous and a problem. And it concerns me very much. I think Callie's going to hop on. So while Callie, while you're joining the Discord and figuring that out, I'm going to go get my headphones so we can have this conversation. And that way hopefully we can get everything working. And then so let me get everything working for video calls, because I live stream so quick that I didn't set up my audio right. So let me get that going. I'll put everybody on hold and we'll be right back. Hey, we're back with Callie. Callie, can you are you there?
Where do I look to see
Uh
what's happening?
Hold on, let me set up the display for you real quick. Everybody can hear you now. So
Okay, good.
I'm just going to see if I can get a visual for you. That's weird. It was set up, but now it's not.
Took me a long time because I failed the captcha a couple of times.
Yeah, well, I'm really curious because I see people talking about this. I see people talking about this heartbeat bill, like it's gonna
Yeah,
be the, I mean, not the abortion bill, like it's a great thing, and
the
I have not seen that.
yeah, they're both bills are bad.
Yeah, okay, we're live, and people have a visual on you,
Okay,
and I
good.
believe everybody can hear. It says you're louder than me. Okay, I'll turn you down. Go ahead and talk for me.
Right. How about that?
Yeah, that should
Can
be
you
about
hear
right.
that better?
Yeah, that should be about right. Yeah, we should be about good there. So tell me what's wrong with SB4 specifically, because my argument is
Okay.
my argument is that this is creating a massive sort of deregulation and decentralization of an industry to a degree that
Right.
it's
It
really
is doing that.
it is, yeah, it's already doing that. So the answer to that is, well, we have SB4, and that's going to
Right.
stop over the counter abortions. So
And okay, so here's the distinction that they're trying to make, and you talked about it slightly before. There's a difference in classification between Plan B and other abortifacient drugs that you can get over the counter and the abortion pill that you get at the clinic, the two pill series, right? Um, and I can't pronounce the names correctly. The misoprostone, mifepristone. That's what we're talking about. The
okay,
RU486.
okay,
Okay, so it falls into a different classification, and the way that the FDA has regulated it is that you have to go to the abortion clinic to get the ultrasound, go through whatever hoops that state has set up for you,
right.
and then you have to go back and you have to get the pill from them. So
let's start there. So now it's giving women a reason to come into the abortion clinics now specifically. So it's actually a bill
well,
that's,
no, it's forcing them.
yeah,
No,
it's
the
forcing
bill
them to
has
go
nothing to do
there.
with it.
Okay.
Right, but that has been the FDA regulation
Oh, okay.
for the past 15 years.
Okay. So
Right.
nothing new there.
No, there's nothing new about it. But what the reason why this bill came forward is because last year during the COVIDs, the FDA got up to the Supreme Court. Different states and companies were filing lawsuits because it was too dangerous to get women to go back to the abortion clinic, and they should be allowed to mail them the abortion pills. And so the Supreme Court said, hey, we got no business in this. The FDA is the one that regulates that, which is why Biden had the FDA change the regulation on that in particular about being forced to go back to the clinic to get the pill. So
Okay.
what this bill does is it forces people to go get the ultrasound and then come back after the waiting pill to pick up the pill where you cannot mail it to them.
Okay. So
That's the basic
but
premise of the bill.
the pill you're talking about though is a lot different than the problems with uh, Plan B, right? Because
Correct.
this doesn't
Yes.
affect Plan B at all.
None
So
whatsoever.
so my argument is still the same. It's actually because I don't care about the over the counter. I'm not the over the counter, but the actual, where they do the death walk as they labor and stuff. Like I know about that. So my
So
everybody's
you and I
acting.
went in on this on one of your posts about the black market pills, and that's why my comment dealt with underground black market distribution of RU486,
Well, that's
because it needs to have a prescription, and not only do you need to have a prescription, but you have to pick it up in from the doctor by hand according to this bill.
right.
Which is not the same as the Plan B that you can just go in, purchase it, and take it on your own.
Okay, so the people that are saying that this bill is going to stop Plan B they're wrong.
Yeah, no, it has zero to do with Plan B.
Okay, that was the whole point I was trying to make, is that this is decentralizing the abortion industry and going to force people to go to Plan B. And then if you see, like, Plan B was trending on Twitter like crazy the other day, and people were
Right.
women were volunteering to buy Plan B on Amazon and send it to people in Texas. And so,
Right.
and so, I talked to another guy today who was trying to argue with me and say that Plan B isn't an abortifacient, and it absolutely is. It's just not true.
It is an abortifacient, but it's not the same drug. Right.
Right.
So what happens with the RU486 is it basically poisons the child, starves them to death. It cuts off all of the nutrients and blood that they need to survive, and it kills them over a period of days. And then they take a second pill, which basically induces labor, so you expel the dead child. Whereas Plan B works in a completely different manner.
Okay. Right. So just to be clear, SB4 is not going to affect Plan B.
No.
Okay.
No.
So that's important to understand, because that means
Right.
that everything I'm saying about decentralizing the abortion industry is still in effect.
Right. But what it is going to do, and what we've seen in Texas, they've been doing studies, surveys in abortion clinics, and yeah. Yeah. So what we've seen in Texas, they were doing surveys in 3 of the major abortion clinics dealing with self-managed abortion or do-it-yourself abortion. And what they're seeing is a rise in people that have tried before coming in, and people looking up for information. So what they're doing is trying to get the information out there on how to do it. And what I think is happening, especially from the COVIDs through now with this heartbeat bill, is the underground infrastructure for creating distribution streams for these underground pills is going to grow. There are already companies across the world that are nonprofits that are involved with doing this in other countries.
Yeah. So essentially, what we're going to see happen is a Silk Road for abortion pills.
Right.
Yeah.
So and my big thing with why both of these bills are bad is they don't deal with the criminalization aspect of killing children. So even if they don't do any abortions and these women get these pills underground, it's still not criminal homicide for them to kill their own child. So it's not going to stop the homicide whatsoever.
Right. Okay, so Damon is saying that the bill specifically says any abortion-inducing drug. I believe he is wrong. If Plan B is documented to cause abortion, it's covered. But Plan B isn't documented. They hide that, right? They hide the fact that it's documented to cover abortion, and so like that's sort of the thing. It's just with most birth control. If Damon, if you're consistent, Damon, this bill is going to ban all birth control too, and we know that birth control.
That's why they changed the definitions of what abortion-inducing drugs are. They changed the definition of gestation, fertilization, when all of these things happen in order to get around what you're talking about right now. So when we're talking about fertilization, there are two ways to calculate post-fertilization is generally the words that they use, and they're off by how many days? 2 weeks? There's a difference of about 2 weeks, and it's to be able to classify certain types of birth control as not being abortion inducing.
Okay. Hold on one second. John Speed just sent me something I think I should share. This is.
You should also look into Stephanie Click. She's the one that put that bill out.
Yeah. What about her?
And she has connections to pharmaceutical companies that deal with this, right?
Okay.
Donors. Some of her donors are pharmaceutical people that deal with this kind of thing.
So they're donors in the sense the person who put the bill out is putting out a bill that supposedly bans abortion pills, but she has donors from the pharmaceutical industry.
No, it doesn't ban abortion pills.
Right. That's why she can still get donors.
It forces you to get it from the doctor.
Got it. Okay.
To go into the office to get it.
Okay, I think people should still be able to hear you if I do this, but I want to share this clip right here. Can you talk for me real quick?
Okay, I can talk as much as you would like.
Yeah, people can still hear you.
Still.
So I'm gonna read this. Tweet from Whole Women's Health in Texas that just came out. And it says, reminder that Texas is not in need of underground abortion networks. We have abortion funds and infrastructure in place to help Texans, and they're not underground. Please amplify the work Texans have already been doing. So there are, they're trying to say, hey, look, guys, it's still legal here.
Right.
Anyway, yeah, I find that interesting. That they're proudly promoting that they're still open and this law hasn't affected them at all. Let's talk about SB8 since I have you on. So SB8 says, you know, everybody's cheering it on. The pro-life organizations, Abby Johnson, Mark Harrington, all these guys in Texas are acting like abortion is absolutely over in Texas. Meanwhile, John Speed is out at the abortion clinic. They're open, security guards there, just like normal. Abortion doctor walks in. Local news puts down the cameras as the abortion doctor walks in to make it look like they're closed, right? Like, so there's all this misinformation happening, and I think everybody. It's like they got a 2-point conversion in the first minute of a game, and there's like 3 in it. There's 3 quarters left, and everybody's just already bringing out the trophies and cheering, and the other team is just like running right down the field over and over and over again. And it's just, that to me is really maddening, because that's an outright lie. It's an outright lie for people to say the abortion clinics are closed in Texas. Right.
Now, they've been slammed the past couple of days. I posted videos from San Antonio today and yesterday. And one of the things that they are doing, and this is what Whole Women's Health was talking about in Fort Worth, is they have set up funds to help people cross over into Oklahoma, New Mexico, Colorado, depending on where you are, and change the fees for what it costs to actually do the abortion.
Yeah,
that's one of the things.
Those sort of underground systems to get people out of state, that would happen in an abolitionist state as well, except there would just be civil punishments for it.
Right.
So
The thing about this bill is because of the lack of criminalization, what it's banking on is that doctors are afraid of losing money through litigation.
that's a ten
And that's
thousand dollar
really
fine, right?
all that's all per incident. Plus that, and that's just the fine. That doesn't cover what it costs to go through getting lawyers, insurance
Yeah.
increase for possible malpractice, all of these things. So rather than coming out and saying we should criminalize this because it's criminal homicide, what they are doing is still working within the framework that says that women have the right to kill their children. And all we are doing is putting a burden in front of them to their access to that abortion. And this really highlights the difference in mindset, right? What they are trying to do is take out the access, kill children easily by making it harder for doctors to do it. That's really the game plan.
Oh, right. Right. Well,
Has zero to do with Roe. It still works under the Roe and Casey framework, even though they're claiming that it will strike against Roe, but it's working within the same framework of we're not going to get to the root of, hey, killing children is evil. You
right.
can't unjustly kill a human. What we're going to do is you can still kill children. We're not going to prosecute you for criminal homicide, but we're going to take away this type of opportunity for you to pay someone to do it.
Right.
And that's what they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems to me from an economic perspective too. If I was running an abortion clinic, I would want to do abortions through the pill. Because I think that would financially be
Right.
so much more profitable than the time of having an abortion doctor actually have to go
Right.
through all the surgical pressures. And so it seems
Right.
to me the pro-life...
But that's what's been happening.
Yeah,
If you look at the past 15 years, 15 years ago, it was only at like what 7-10% of reported abortions were the surgical, or I mean medical with the
mhm.
pill. This past year, it was 55%. And so that's already been on the rise. Um, so which is why this other SB4 is so damaging. We haven't really thought through if we don't criminalize this, then these underground networks that are going to start popping up,
Yeah.
you can't do anything about them. I mean, we can take them out, but it's not going to stem the tide. There's always going to be a market for it for somebody that is not going to be charged for criminal homicide if they take this pill.
Right. In that bill SB4, what are the penalties for an abortion doctor if or somebody that takes, let's say, RU 486? Are the penalties laid out in that bill, or are they
I
just
don't
financial?
remember.
I'd be
I don't remember. Um, but it has to deal with, they wouldn't be doing it anyways because it's the pharmacist that would be mailing out the pills.
okay. Okay, got it. So I was just trying to see if there's anything in the text that says what the consequences are. Because if it's just financial consequences, an underground network, they'll be able to pay that very easily.
Well, and the thing about the underground networks is, any type of drug trade underground, are they really concerned with those type of fees and stuff? No, not. I mean, not really. They're not going to sit there and try to pay a bunch of fines. They're going to find ways to not get caught. And when they do get caught, another one
Yeah,
has already sprung up.
yeah. says is a state jail felony. So it says an abortion, a physician who provides an abortion-inducing drug must comply with the applicable physician reporting requirements. And then it's a felony, so they could be removed of their license. But it doesn't say really anything. I don't see anything. I could be wrong about what happens if a woman, or like let's say a non-physician delivers the medication. I don't see that. Maybe somebody can point that out in the chat. I'd like to know what the consequences are for that. But it's not. They're not going to be charged with murder.
Right.
I guarantee you that. But
Right.
yeah, Callie, man, thanks for coming on and clearing that up. What I really wanted to emphasize was how I don't think the abortion clinic industry is as nervous about moving towards these regulations as the pro-life organizations would want you to think. So it would be.
I think some of the smaller ones are.
Some of
Yeah, because Planned Parenthood loves regulations.
Well, yeah,
They gain market share, right?
That's right.
So,
well,
when you
that's
have
just creating
smaller
a
ones-
monopoly then at that point. So that's not helping the pro-life community at all, because now you've just
No.
empowered people with more money to be able to fight you, and one collective to be able to fight you and to keep out competition and stuff like that. That's
Yeah.
bad. See, I've always said the problem with the pro-life industry is that they're liberals in their economics. And you see this with Abby Johnson too, when she talks about how important Medicare and Medicaid is, and she argues
Right.
like a liberal when it comes to these other things. And so I was talking to Mark Harrington today, and Mark Harrington said, well, decentralizing abortion's a good thing. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Do you even know what that word means?
Right.
Like decentralizing businesses is a good thing, right? Like the taxi cab industry going to Uber and Lyft,
Right.
right? Like when Blockbuster got shut down for Netflix and movies became more accessible, right? Like those are all good forms of decentralization that occur as a result of regulation. But when you're talking about decentralizing criminal activity, that is terrible.
Right. Well, and so here's the big difference though is they are looking for results, right? And however they want to manipulate the numbers, they're going to show their results, which is purely the number of children that possibly would not be murdered that day in Texas, right? And I think we have to admit that there is some, in some sense, that number is going to go down.
Yeah. Oh, here's
if you're talking about the from the abortion clinics.
Yeah.
But that does not mean that children are not going to be killed. So from our perspective, we're looking at it from a sense of justice, right?
Right.
Children are going to be killed regardless of whether it's illegal or not.
Right. That's right.
Are we treating it why is it that we treat this one form of criminal homicide different than every other form of criminal homicide?
That's right.
That's the issue.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's, and in fact, speaking of that, somebody pasted the penalties. So the abortion doctor gets a felony, but a pregnant woman on whom a drug-induced abortion is attempted, induced, or performed in violation of this subchapter is not criminally liable for the violation.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So during the Senate hearings, one of the pro-choice legislators grilled Representative Slauson on the heartbeat bill about that in particular. I know you're talking about the abortion pill bill,
yeah.
But the pro-choice lady was grilling her about how come the woman she has zero standing as far as punishments. And the pro-life lady for like minutes had zero answer. And it comes out that the pro-choice lady is like, you won't punish her because you know this whole thing is wrong. So everybody knows that they're inconsistent by not applying justice to the woman. Whatever reason, they think all of their laws are going to be more palatable if we keep them as the only demographic of people that are not charged with criminal homicide or any type of criminal homicide. It's crazy.
Right. Yeah, I think it it's it's insane. The criminal aspect of it is just unbelievable that these women can get away with it. And there's, you're right. There's no other crime where the person who perpetuates the crime is the one that is seen as the victim. Only in
Right.
abortion. And the fact that the pro-life lobbies don't have the guts to deal with that is, it's absolutely
Right.
insane. So,
Well, this is how inconsistent it is, right? Let's say that my wife is 12 weeks pregnant. And let's say I have a mistress who is also 12 weeks pregnant. If my wife gets RU486, these abortion pills, crushes them up, she takes some and gives some to my mistress, both babies die. She can be charged for criminal homicide for killing the mistress's child, but cannot be charged for killing her own child.
yeah,
There's no fetal homicide law that will cover her, because in Texas and in every single state, it is not to be considered criminal homicide if the actor is the mother of the preborn child. She can kill her children for whatever reason they want to, by whatever method that they want to, up until birth, and they're not going to be charged with criminal homicide.
Yeah, and to go back to your point too, if these abortion pills are sent overseas, is Texas is Texas going to like start flying in criminals from overseas and getting them shipped to go to prison and for a jail felony? They're not going to do that.
Right. Right.
They're not going to extradite people for that. So
Right.
I imagine some international Planned Parenthoods would probably take part in that sort of thing.
Right.
But Callie, it was great to
I
have
mean,
you
it's
on.
already happening.
Yeah,
It's
I know.
happening in other countries.
Yeah, for
You know?
sure. Agree. Absolutely, man. Well, it was great having you on, man. Thank you for coming on and clearing that up for us. I
Right.
think that's really important for people to understand, with SB4 and SB8 and all the other stuff. But I do appreciate your time, man. Are you going to be at the Fight
All right.
Laugh Feast conference?
I cannot make it.
Oh, too bad, man.
In spirit and in truth, I'll be there.
Are you going to be at the G3 conference?
No.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
Yeah.
Okay. I'll see you sometime then.
Okay. Bye.
All right. See you, man. All right. That was Callie. Good, really good guy. Really good friend. Helping us sort of explain what's going on with what's going on with the bill in Texas. I think he brought up some great points. So yeah. So again, SB4 doesn't do much more than what's already being done. I think we can see that from the conversation we had. The FDA already pretty much mandates a physician to deliver those pills and be seen in person, and there's no penalty for the woman for actually taking those pills, which is a problem. And so what is happening is a move, it's almost like the pro-life the pro-life movement is playing for the pro-choice movement. Like the pro-choice movement is 3 steps ahead, and they know exactly each step the pro-life movement is going to take, because it's not a surprise. And so they're already investing in the infrastructure for abortion pills. They're already investing in the pharmaceutical companies that are going to develop new forms of like art, uh, of birth control or Plan B medications. And so, and you can't argue against these people. These people are not ones that want to be argued with. So, but anyway, I got another call and request from a father's crisis. Let's go ahead and take your call. I'll go ahead and take your call. A father's crisis. Let me get you on. Send you a video request now. See if he picks up. But yeah, man, that's sort of. I really want people to understand that there's a massive decentralization of the abortion industry that's taking place because of the pro-life movement. And that's a really bad thing. And nobody's really talking about that. No one's really talking about the economics of regulation and how regulating a business sort of creates these other things. A father's crisis.
What's up? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Thank you for joining. Let me put you on the show real quick. Get your video up. There you go.
Do you mind if I smoke my tobacco pipe while we talk?
Dude, you could, as long as I can vape while we talk.
Oh, definitely. This is your show, man. I can't tell you what to do.
So, what's up, man? What do you want to? I don't know if we've ever met, or maybe we have.
No, I mean I've followed you, through social media a whole bunch of times before. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I don't think we ever actually talked or anything like that. So.
Yeah. What's on your mind today?
Oh, well, it's funny. I'm on TikTok a lot. I try to promote like fathers' rights issues and stuff like that. But this abortion, the abortion talk has all been all over TikTok, social media, over everything. And of course, feminists and left-leaning people are talking about how women are losing their reproductive rights. And it's funny to me because if you actually think about it, men in this country, especially unmarried men who have children, and that's a different topic about having sex outside of marriage, but unmarried men have absolutely zero reproductive rights in this country, no matter what state they live in. And so, even though the law in Texas that is the topic of the conversation today is certainly imperfect, it's actually getting closer to having equal rights when it comes to reproductive rights than ever before.
Because you're saying because the father can sue.
Well, not only that, but right now, especially unmarried fathers, they have no rights to their children. Zero. They can't demand to be put on the birth certificate. In fact, a woman can, obviously can have an abortion without his permission. Even, and especially outside of Texas now, that father has no recourse. That's what's you have if she wants to give the kid up for adoption, even after birth, she can do that again without the father's permission. There's safe haven laws in different states where anywhere between 30 days to even a year, you can drop off your child, no questions asked, nothing wrong. No one's going to come after you, and just drop them off at a fire station, a hospital, sometimes even a public library. And just leave them there, and no one will search for the father. It's without the father's permission, and then the child will be into the system. And and if a father doesn't want to be in his kid's life, their kid's life, well, he doesn't have that option either, because if a woman chooses to have the baby, she can go after him at least financially, and go after child support for at least 18 years, sometimes up to 21, 22 years. Of getting at least financial support, and then that's legally obligated. The man will legally be obligated up until being thrown in prison if he doesn't pay his child support. So I think it's obviously we have feminist and leftist philosophy saying that it's women losing reproductive rights when actually they're the only ones with reproductive rights in this country. Men technically don't.
That's
Now,
true.
of course, I'm not. Yeah, and obviously I'm not justifying men purposely having children and abandoning them. That's obvious to me. That's obviously wrong.
Right.
But you see the double standard in the law, how it is presented today, that men actually don't have any reproductive rights. But we live in kind of a gynocentric culture where women are getting the benefit of the doubt no matter what, and like you said in the law, that the mother isn't ever going to be held accountable for.
That's the same in the Me Too movement too, right? It's
exactly
believe
exactly.
women. Yeah, and no, I agree with you. So is your position that this law is moving in the right direction, but because of something in the law specifically in Texas?
I'm an abolitionist,
Okay.
but what I'm focusing on is the arguments that are being presented, like, oh, this is taking away women's reproductive rights.
Yeah.
Well, actually, like, even worst case scenario, let's say like the Plan B doesn't become like this big thing anymore, and it actually stops a whole bunch of abortions. Women still can give the child up for adoption, and nothing's going to be done by it. She can still. There's still so many types of birth control that women can have that men don't have. Men basically have condoms or abstinence, or getting a vasectomy. That's it. That's really all the options men have for birth control. Women have a little bit wider range to choose from. So women are kind of afforded, either by biology or by government, all these other options that men don't have. And I think it's funny that, saying you can't have an abortion after 6 weeks or after a heart is detected, well, that's a big horrible thing, when men have, for 50, 70 years now have actually had no reproductive rights. So I just find the whole thing hypocritical.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. I think what we would really like to see when we talk about this sort of thing is, what does true justice for the father look like for a woman that has killed her child, and it's that the woman gets the death penalty.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's ultimately, I don't necessarily. I think that, and there's the consequence for a woman, a man who abandons his child and his family there and commits adultery and finds other women. Death penalty there too. And then that way you technically free the woman. In biblical law, you would free the woman up to go marry again, in that sense, because death breaks the covenant, right? So that's sort of the grace of the death penalty for the victim there, in that they're not obligated to deal with the person anymore. But yeah, man, I agree with you completely that men are absolutely just destroyed when it comes to Roe v. Wade sort of legislation. The pro-life movement pretends to care about the men, but they really don't.
No, not at all.
Yeah, not at all. And
in fact, abortion laws actually helped men be irresponsible.
Yeah.
For the irresponsible men who want to spread their seed everywhere, it's like, I'll just have her go, and then on the very, very terrible side of things, pimps forcing their prostitutes to go ahead and get an abortion because he doesn't want to lose any money. So abortion has empowered bad men. That's what it's done. It's empowered bad men.
Yeah.
So, we can talk about how abortion is basically is terrible for both men and women and family and all this other stuff. So, but
yeah,
it's the double standard that really gets me. This gynocentric. Women continue to get more and more rights without any responsibility, while the responsibility for some reason has to then fall on men. So, if a man and a woman have a child and they split up, and dad has to pay child support because she's poor, she can still get on all these government benefits, get free health care, free housing, food stamps, all this other stuff. But let's say the father gets laid off and is unable to pay his child support. Well, he could actually end up in jail. That's the support government gives men in that situation.
That's right.
So it's this continued double standard where men have all the responsibility and almost no rights in certain situations, where women have all the rights but no responsibility whatsoever.
Right.
It's very frustrating, and that's kind of like what I talk about on my social media stuff.
Yeah. How many followers you got on TikTok, man? Are you crushing it?
Well, I've been banned 4 times because you talk about this stuff, you get banned,
Yeah.
So I'm on my 4th account now. Unfortunately I'm under 6,000, but on my first account I was up over 50,000 followers on TikTok.
You're crushing it.
So I was crushing it for a while, and then my second account got up to 12, got banned. Third account got up to like 15, got banned. Now fourth account. It's crazy, man. And I unfortunately had in my life, I go to an RPCNA. I used to go to an RPCNA church, and with my wife, and I had 2 kids, and I got thrown into the family court system when my wife decided to leave. She was influenced a lot about Christian feminist writing. Jury Micah, she lives near me. My ex-wife got just enthralled with her crap, and
wow.
It didn't end well, and I got thrown into that system of this. Well, even though I was married for 8+ years, and had 2 kids that I was equally a parent to, I ended up being like that every other weekend father, and was put on child support, all this stuff, like I was like a bad dad. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's kind of what I talk about. I try to help other men deal with the family court systems and stuff like that, because it's pretty sad. And I know it's a little off topic of what we're talking about now, but
no, man, that's really good. I don't think it's off topic at all. It's really important to understand, especially if, the Texas abortion law is going to make it easier for women, or get people at least more focused on going to Walmart or CVS to get their over-the-counter abortifacient. Then it's going to create a lot of fathers with children they didn't even know they had, and
right.
And so it's a big problem, man. What are you smoking in that pipe, man?
Nightcap.
Okay. Oh, that's a good one. It's a good choice.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite. Got on a cigar bed for cheap.
Yeah.
I'm normally a cigar guy. But because of everything that's been going on in my life, smoking pipes actually tend to be a little bit cheaper than smoking cigars.
That's very true. So, that's very true.
Yeah. I moved to smoking some tobacco.
Yeah.
Pipe tobacco. So
that's good, man. Nothing beats a good pipe, man. Well, hey, man, thanks for coming. Thanks for coming on the show, and thanks for talking about that very important subject. I really think it's very meaningful, and you're absolutely right. Men get no justice when it comes to the abortion clinic industry. Or the Me Too industry. Feminism has robbed men of the ability to get justice.
Right, properly. And historically, even the early suffragettes, they've been anti-family from the beginning. Their writings have always been anti-family.
Yeah. Right.
So it's nothing new. It's nothing new. Early feminists have talked about this stuff. So that's stuff that I always talk about, even on my channel and stuff like that. Early feminists, because you always get that thing that, oh, well, first wave feminism wasn't that bad, and it's like, well, hold on a minute. Let's read some of their writings, and let's rethink this. Right, it's like, oh, well, they got the right to vote, and that's all they did. That's all they cared about. It's like,
not true.
Let's read some more.
Yeah, so, that's right. I think there's a really good Sheologians episode on first wave feminism. If you search Sheologians for that, you can pull that up. They talk about how it was not as good as people think it is. That's for sure.
Well, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, she wrote the Woman's Bible or something like the Woman's Bible or something like that, where Satan was the savior of Eve. and praised Satan to make sure, Satan praised Eve for getting getting out from under God's patriarchal standard.
That's
It's
exactly
like,
right.
I'm like, Elizabeth Cady Stanton was the first basically feminist in this country. 1850, Seneca Hills, New York, with the Declaration of Grievances from women, or something. I think it was the Declaration of Grievances. Basically written out like the Declaration of Independence, but it was women trying to be independent from their husbands. It was.
Right.
Yeah, you actually gotta read what they wrote back for first wave, and it's almost word for word what they say now about men. It's pretty much word for word.
That's absolutely true.
Yeah.
But
well, thanks for taking time to let me come on your show and talk and stuff like that. If you ever want to have me on as a guest, talk about like men's issues or that crosses over, I'm more than open to do that.
Yeah, man. What's your TikTok for people?
It's a_fathers_crisis with like 3 more underscores. It used to just be a father's crisis, but every time I get banned, I gotta get a new tag. Right. So the more underscores at the end, you'll know how many times I've gotten banned.
Yeah.
So.
And if one of your account gets banned, we just add another underscore, and we'll know how to find you.
Exactly. That's it. So.
Yeah. Awesome, man.
And I have stuff on YouTube under the same name. So.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Well, thanks for coming on. Thanks for hopping on the show. Really appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. Keep up the good work. I like what you're doing.
See you, man. Bye.
See you. Bye.
Yeah, man. He's absolutely right. The feminism robs men of any justice, whether it comes to. Hi, honey. Oh, you got me a Mountain Dew.
It's mystery flavor.
A mystery flavor Mountain Dew. Thanks, honey. Isn't our wife's great? But no, he's absolutely right. Feminism does absolutely rob men of justice. And when we talk about the abortion clinic industry, there is no the pro-life movement doesn't want justice for the men, no matter how much they want to talk about it, because the only right form of justice for a woman that kills her child is the death penalty. Let's see what the mystery flavor is. I'd be, ever since COVID a year and a half ago, I'd probably be the worst at determining what that mystery flavor is. But it tastes like I want to say maybe cotton candy. It has cotton candy flavor to it. So but yeah, I sent a message to Mark Harrington that I would like to appear on his show and sort of talk about sort of the problems of this bill. I think there's a lot of problems with it, a lot of dangers with it, a lot of concern. And I know Mark Harrington was talking about how great it is, but I don't think they want any pro-life people to come on and say, whoa, we need to think clearly about this and the precedent it's setting and where it's moving people to. Because the pro-life industry is not willing. They're willing to move the abortion industry towards a very profitable direction, to take the victory lap around the track, but they're not willing to go and do what needs to be done to end it completely. And it's a very dangerous thing. It's a very dangerous thing. It's so bad, in fact, it would make me think that people who are invested in the pro-choice medical industry actually helped write this bill. That's how bad it is. So when I see people, good, godly Christian people, and they're talking about how this is a victory, I mean, I guess in some senses there might be some wins, but I think in the long term, it's very, very bad. It's very, very dangerous, and they don't have the guts to do the fight that they need to fight, and so they're actually making things worse. And so I do praise God for any abortion clinic that decides to shut down because of this bill, or any woman who thinks somehow that they can't get an abortion because of this bill and the babies are saved. I really do thank God in those instances, but I think over the long run, we're going to see a lot more deaths and murders of children as a result of this bill, just because of how basic economics works. There's just no way around it. There's no way around the laws of economics, right? The laws of supply and demand. The harder it is for an item to be purchased, the more expensive the price. So what happens is, because of the laws of economics, when an industry is highly regulated, there becomes attempts to create industries that skirt the regulation. Another great example of this, by the way, is Southwest Airlines. Southwest Airlines was started because they found a loophole in federal regulation that said, I don't have to abide by, Southwest realized they don't have to abide by any of the federal regulations with the FAA as long as they fly in state. So they got their own airfield, and then they organized flights from Dallas to Houston to Austin, those three cities, just within the state of Texas. And because they didn't have to deal with FAA regulations, they were able to be so much cheaper than American and Delta, who are also based in Texas. And the result of that was American Airlines and Delta and those guys got together and they tried to sue Southwest, and they lost, and Southwest prospered. And then, of course, eventually Southwest grew big enough that they were able to afford to follow the FAA regulations, although they did argue against FAA regulations when Ronald Reagan they deregulated the industry. But now, Southwest is following all the same regulations, the FAA, the mask requirements and stuff like that. But it was the ability to subvert the law that allowed Southwest to grow and prosper. And thank goodness they found the loophole in that law. But they're not out there murdering people. It's not a loophole that allows people to murder people. And I just don't think the pro-life industry understands basic economics. This is why people like Abby Johnson will talk about how great Medicare and Medicaid is, and how women who have abortions, these victims, need Medicare and Medicaid, and we can't shut off the Medicare and Medicaid for these women. This is why they're liberals. They really are liberals. The pro-life industry is a liberal organization, and I mean that not morally but economically, and how they function and believe in what they believe about government is very much liberal, and it creates far more problems for saving children than it does actually save children. I mean, look, it's good propaganda. It gets people talking about abortion. It gets people talking about the pro-life movement. It gives the impression that Texas is eliminating abortion altogether. But the pro-choice community isn't stupid. And they're more than happy to pretend to be outraged so that they can start a mass exodus to chemical abortions at Walmart. And I think we're going to see a lot of that, even though HB4 pretends like that's not going to help. I think after talking with Callie about HB4, I'm all the more convinced that HB4 is going to be more of a problem for the pro-life industry because of the loopholes of SB8. So when you look at the loopholes of SB8 that says mental health, sorry, if you look at the loopholes of SB8, it says that that any woman can have an abortion if the abortion doctor says this baby's going to do damage to your mental health. It doesn't matter about 6 weeks in. It could be 12 weeks. It could be 24 weeks. It could be 30 weeks. if that baby is going to be a mental health problem for the woman, the abortion can still happen. So now you have SB4 that says, look, if you want to get the pill, everybody, if you want to get the pill, you have to go see the abortion doctor, and the abortion doctor has to give you the ultrasound. So now, because of SB4, they're funneling people to go see the abortion doctor. And then the abortion doctor is going to look and see, well, you're past 6 weeks, but is this causing you mental distress? And the woman goes, yeah, this is causing me mental distress. And the abortion takes place just like normal. So it's not hard to see how this is not an issue for the pro-choice movement. And I would like to argue, too, that the pro-choice movement is getting what Chick-fil-A got when the homosexual lobbies came against Chick-fil-A. Right? When the homosexual lobbies came against Chick-fil-A, everybody rose up and they stood in a line that was wrapped out the building and onto the street, and they went and got their Chick-fil-A and said, not today, homosexuals. Not today, gays. Not today. Not my Chick-fil-A. And the lines were out the door. And Chick-fil-A made millions. And so that same sort of customer loyalty and dedication is happening and taking place as a result of these abortion laws. So now people are even more dedicated to the pro-life community, to the pro-choice community, as a result of this. So I see that there's somebody that wants to join the chat. So let me get the link for you. Hey, Darren. I sent you the link, man. Join the Discord and send me, join the call and request channel, and then I will gladly talk to you. If anybody else is listening to this too, and you want to join the Discord, feel free to join the Discord. The link is in the description on Rumble. It's in the description on YouTube, I believe. Is it? I imagine it might be. But I just posted it in the live chat as well, so it's there. And then if you're on Facebook, you should be able to get a link as well. So just post it on Facebook too. So so yeah, I'll wait and see if we get anybody else in the chat and whatnot. But I do really want you guys to meditate on this. What happens when you regulate a business? And look through the history of businesses that have been regulated. Look at how, for example, I'm trying to think of a pretty modern example. I mean, like Uber and Lyft is the best one, for sure. But there's also examples. I mean, you could sort of see with the iPhone and the ability to create apps anywhere, right? Like when the iPhone came out, everybody's making apps. Everybody's making their own calculator app. Suddenly, you can have the most powerful computer in your pocket. And it was a lot of that was really just the deregulation of the app industry that was started through the App Store on the iPhone. Because it wasn't possible to get people these sort of apps that do these sort of things very easily. And a lot of that was just not necessarily government regulation, but just the regulation of the market in general. And so that fed into this massive ability for people to actually have computing power at a low cost, and in a way in which they could access it, in a way that anybody could access it. And so now, once you have millions of people that have a computer in their pocket, you can suddenly design apps that utilize that power. And that's how you get stuff like drones, which decentralized, the helicopter photography market, the air photography market. That's just massively devastating to the helicopter industry. I don't think people really realize how drones have impacted video production, and that's really just because of the cost of owning a helicopter, the cost of doing all these things, right? And so, if the abortion industry is making abortion harder to do, the abortion industry is going to go naturally to methods that are easier to do. It's not that hard. So, Darren, I don't know if you ever decided to come into the chat, but you're going to have to send me a message in the chat and let me know that you're here so I know your username and can bring you on the video chat. But or otherwise, I'll just assume you're not in there. So, but yeah, I mean, this is exactly how it works, and it's really discouraging. Let me see if I can pull up some tweets from some pro-lifer. Brad says, if a social credit score is adapted in the United States, what would yours be? I told my wife I'm purposely going to make my social credit score worse than my college credit score from when I was in college. So it's going to be bad. I'm going to tank it. That's for sure. Because I don't want to live in a world where my social credit score determines what I can buy. I want to live in the world where I can be free and buy whatever I want. And so I want to learn those markets. Which brings back to the deregulation, right? Think about masks and vax, right? You're not going to go to the stores that require that. You're going to go somewhere different. And the same is true with the pro-life industry. If you can't get an abortion, that's where you're gonna go. So I wanted to pull up some pro-lifers tweets to sort of see. Okay, this is the tweet that really bugged me the most yesterday, I think, when I was looking at this. Because it's just dishonest. It's just not even accurate. It's dishonest. And it says, it's September 1st. You know what that means? Babies in Texas with a detectable heartbeat can't be killed by abortion. That is not true. That first line right there is not true. They can't be killed by abortion. All the abortion doctor has to do is say there's a mental health problem. And says we are hearing about we are hearing that abortion facilities are canceling appointments as we speak. At least 150 babies will be saved every single day from this legislation. First off, the abortion clinics were open this week, and a lot of the abortion clinics were probably canceled as a result of. They were probably canceled as a result of the other night. Actually, John Speed said the abortion clinic, Whole Women's Health, was open till midnight, and they did 117 abortions the night before the legislation. 117 abortions at one facility. So, because they were profiting off of the ban, and so, anyway, that is just not true, Abby. It's just not true. So I'm gonna. It seems like Darren is on the line. I'm gonna try to chat with him. Darren, are you available?
What's up, brother? I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. No video. Is that how you're gonna do it?
No. I got it here.
Oh, there we go. All right.
Sorry, man. telling you, I feel like a little bit of a boomer right now. I'm technically a millennial, but when it comes to technology,
What's Discord? What is Discord? I don't understand.
yeah, right, exactly. I don't know how all this stuff works. I just want to tell people about Jesus. Do I need
Yeah,
to click
yeah,
the button to do that?
yeah. You said you wanted to talk about the economics of this law.
Yeah, so I was thinking through. So Callie was on earlier. Him and I worked together on a podcast called Resisting Balaam, and him and I talk a lot, and a lot of times his thoughts spur thoughts in my brain. And so, one of the things I do is I spend a lot of time on political activism. So I work with. I'm Assistant National Director of Operation Save America, and so work in a lot of different states, working on bills and political activism, things like that. One of the things that's interesting that you learn to think about when you're involved in political activism, when you're strategizing about what you're going to do, what kind of plays you're going to run, what kind of plays you're not going to run, one of the things you always have to weigh is when we run this play, the other side is going to be able to use what we're doing. To what we're trying to do is we're trying to raise money and we're trying to mobilize people on our side to take action so that we can gain a political victory. But there's always the reverse. Every time you run a play, the other side also has the opportunity to run a myriad of plays in response to what you did that helps them mobilize their activists and helps them to raise money.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're always weighing, does the win that we're going to get from this result, do we gain it? Do we get a better gain from this if we win than the other side will get if we win and they're able to use that to mobilize their own people and raise money? So what's happening with this bill right now is you got some abortion providers in Texas continuing with business as usual, it looks like. And then you have, according to Callie and John Speed and some of those guys that we know that are working in Texas. But then you have Planned Parenthood who has said, we're not doing anything right now. And the reason that they're doing that is because Planned Parenthood is an abortion provider, but they're also a political organization. They're a political lobby group. And what they're doing is they're evaluating the situation, and they have determined that it is more beneficial to them, both financially and strategically, to close their abortion clinic and to use what the pro-life movement has done in Texas as an opportunity to raise money and mobilize activists.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And so this is something that the pro-life movement has, in my estimation, and I've been actively involved in the fight for about 6 years now, and I've seen this. It's one of the things that pulled me into sort of the abolitionist camp, is that the pro-life movement is for 40 years has been an abject failure at weighing what we gain if we take this action versus what's going to happen if what the other side's going to do as a result of us taking this action. When you look at what is gained in Texas right now by this bill, basically all you gain is the ability for private citizens to sue abortion providers for abortion, for performing abortions. We have no idea what the courts are going to do once that lawsuit goes through. We have a general idea that especially the federal judiciary is very anti anything that comes against Roe. And so even though the Supreme Court chose not to rule on this bill at this point.
Well, that was just because of a technicality in how they wrote up the legislation. So
right,
so that wasn't like a legitimate. I see this tweet, by the way, by Abby Johnson today, and I'll put it up on the screen, because you're right. It's just non-thinking. It's not critical as to like what's actually happening. But it says, breaking news: the Supreme Court decision is out. They will not interfere in the Texas heartbeat law. What an amazing victory! That's not what the legislation. That's not what the Supreme Court said. The Supreme Court said that they have to actually. There has to be a process that takes place prior to the Supreme Court making that decision. You think they're just not going to go through that process? No, of course they are. Now they know exactly what to do to get the Supreme Court to hear it.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah,
and that's so crazy, the disinformation campaign that's going on out there.
That's the thing that's bugging me the most, man. And I have friends and people who are close to me who are not hardcore abolitionists and whatnot.
Yeah.
And so I just think you can't look at what the pro-life community is doing right now and think they're being honest at all. They're just outright lying about what's happening, and that's really bothersome to me. Like that's just and this is what I've been saying. Like the best way, because you do have like our friends at the Fight Laugh Feast Network who I don't know what they smash mouth incrementalism is what they say, right? So you have and I've always said I think the best way to really just point this out is not to debate whether a bill saves some lives or should save all of them. It's I was talking to Slaughter about this too. It's like we need to expose why they're passing these bills.
Yeah.
And I mentioned this in Babies Are Still Murdered here when you had Jim Bopp. And Jim Bopp is telling people not to support a heartbeat bill, to go back home and to tell your legislator not to support these heartbeat. He wasn't talking about abolitionism. He was talking about a heartbeat bills. And this was when Atlanta had their heartbeat bill that just got passed, right? Georgia, right? And so you have to ask why? Like why were they against it 2 years ago? And now they're suddenly like cheering this on as this massive, amazing victory when they were the ones discouraging it 2 years ago. And that to me, there's something else going on that people have to understand that is way deeper and more sadistic and evil than what is being presented to us. It's just like it's just like the CDC right now, right? Like it's just all misinformation. And
that's exactly right. I mean, I think and I said, and I was in a Fight Laugh Feast thread the other day. We were having a discussion, and people are talking about the lives that this bill is going to save, and if it does save some babies, like if it ultimately does end up saving some babies,
I think
like
it will.
Alex said earlier, there's a possibility that might happen. And we pray God for those babies.
I think there'll be a lot of women that just think they can't get an abortion because they're too late, right? So I do. I mean, that's a great thing anyway. But I think in the long term, it's going to force women to be more thoughtful about Plan B. It's going to be more aware. You already have Twitter campaigns where they're like, send me your address and I'll buy you Plan B if you live in Texas, right? Like, so it's already happening. They're already telling people, here, you can go on Amazon, get some off-brand for $7. So that to me is way more dangerous than having the abortion clinics be able to abort babies after 6 weeks, because at least it's expensive.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Well, the other thing is what's happening now, which I mean, a lot of us, and I know you have, and I know Jeff Durbin was sort of on the front end of this, have been warning that as we pass these laws that don't prosecute the mother, we open the door for this sort of underground kind of thing that happens. The other thing that happens is, as it stands right now, like we got John Speed in Texas, we got Callie in Texas, we got some good brothers in Texas that go to the abortion mill on a regular basis. And right now, we have that last opportunity to plead with that mother to turn away. Once this thing goes underground and, they're able to, if you got a pharmacist in, let's say, Massachusetts, and a doctor in Massachusetts through telehealth, which is a big thing right now, and a woman in Texas has those pills sent to her from a pharmacist or wherever, in, let's say, Massachusetts, an example, or New York or whatever. So everything's happening outside of the jurisdiction of Texas. The woman's not going to be prosecuted for taking those abortion pills.
Right.
And so right now, there's not a lot of places that are doing abortion pills through telehealth, but that's coming. And so what happens is we have this one last opportunity to plead with mothers not to murder their babies. And as the abortion industry is going to continue to find a way to provide abortions as long as it's permitted by the law, because this is the nature of economics. There is a big demand for this procedure because of the sinfulness and the darkness that exists in the hearts of man. As long as that exists and you don't do something like criminalize the mother, which severely reduces that demand, there is going to be an industry that finds a way to make money off of this practice of slaughtering children.
Yeah, that's right.
And so what we're doing, what's happening with the pro-life movement right now, is we're shooting ourselves in the foot two ways. The first way is we're allowing the other side to mobilize, raise money, and stir up their activists for very little gain on our part. We gain very little. And the other thing that's happening is we're shooting ourselves in the foot because we're taking away our very last opportunity to save babies while the courts and so forth and the tyrants at the state level and the federal level are not actually banning abortion. And so we're losing that last opportunity to save babies, and we're helping the other side raise money and gain activists. And so we're losing. For me, when I look at this bill and I look at it from like a free market economic standpoint, and I look at it as a political activist, the life side, if we say we're all kind of on the life side here, we're losing with this bill as it is right now. We're losing substantially. The action that the people on our side took is actually results in a net loss for us pretty much across the board. And this is why the pro-life movement continues to lose over the course of 40 years, because they won't make the bold stand and make principled truth. And I mean, I believe in the value of moral and just upright increments. Okay, I'm opposed to incrementalism, but I believe in good increments. We need to take good steps that actually accomplish moving toward completely and totally criminalizing abortion, not these things that they're doing like this. Everybody's saying, "Oh, this is a good increment." It's not even an increment at all. Yeah. And what happens is we lose across the board. We're losing on this.
Right.
It's bad morally, and it's also bad tactically. It's just bad across the board. It's a bad move.
Right. I always said, I always said that if there was a heartbeat bill that got passed, or that they put up a heartbeat bill, and their plan for the heartbeat bill was, we're going to get everybody distracted, all the media, Planned Parenthood, we're going to get them all focused on this heartbeat bill. And while they're whining and complaining about this heartbeat bill, we're going to implement the abolition bill and just completely blindside them. I'd be like all for it. But that's not the case. Like, it's not like everything is strategic in terms of what they're doing in a way to actually end it. It's really just a means to keep passing the football back and forth, and so that's really bothersome. But hey, man, thanks for coming on. I got other people that want to join the discussion. Sure. But
absolutely.
really appreciate all your work, man, with Operation Save America, man. Tell Storms and everybody I said hello.
I will do that. Thanks, brother. I appreciate you. God
all right,
bless.
Man. See ya.
See ya.
All right, that was Darren Stead, who works with Operation Save America, and then I'm gonna bring on a guy by the name of Baird Boy, and then he wants to talk about the medical requirements at his hospital at the moment. So while we're waiting for him, that was Darren Stead, who works with Operation Save America. I believe him and Jason Storms just sort of took the helm of that ministry. And so really thankful for all the work that those guys do and whatnot. So hopefully we get somebody on the call while we're going. We'll see what happens. See if we can get a hold of Baird Boy. So, hey, are you there? I don't have any audio. If you are there, there's none for me. Somebody needs to create like a call room software that'll just automatically queue people, but it won't let them on unless their video and audio are both working and tested. So just a thought. I'm getting some audio, man, but I'm getting some echo.
Hey, Bill, you can hear me?
Yeah, I'm getting some echo, so turn down your...
Is that better?
Yeah. Are you going to show your face or not?
Oh, I'd be glad to. What do I need to do? Do I just press this little weird-looking button right here?
Yeah,
what does that do?
Just hit the camera button. Should do it.
Oh, okay. Here we go. Obviously, I'm not a techie guy.
I'm getting all the boomers to learn how to use Discord, man, which is mainly...
All right, I pushed the camera. Okay, can you see me now?
Yeah, I can see you. Hold on, let's get everybody else so they can see you. There you go. How's it going, James?
Pretty good, man. How you doing?
Good to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you again. I miss Idaho already.
Yeah, yeah, man. Yeah, it's the weather's really nice right now. So I don't
bet.
think we got much longer though. I think you guys hopefully are about to get into the good stuff, and then we're about to get into the bad stuff. So
Yeah. I'm hoping we're about to get the good stuff.
yeah, yeah. So what's going on down there in Arizona?
Yeah, man. So the hospital that I work for just followed a couple of the major chains down here, hospital chains down here, and mandating the sacrament.
Oh, that's not good, man.
Yeah. So Banner, I don't work for Banner, but Banner is like a huge one here. Hospital systems, they mandated it, and then Honor Health went, and then my hospital just did it a couple weeks ago.
Do you have a timeline?
November 1st is when everyone has to be fully vaccinated by November 1st.
And
So that is when. Now I went ahead and I went for the religious exemption.
yeah.
And they actually granted me the religious
Oh, praise
exemption.
the Lord, man.
Yeah. So I'm super excited about that. But a lot of people did not. A lot of people went for exemptions and did not get them. I don't know what made the difference, but
Yeah, just
you
the,
know.
the blessing of the Lord, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Dude, that's really good to hear. I'm so glad you got that. I was curious about a bunch of people down there in Arizona who I know who work in the medical industry. What would happen to them as a result of this?
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy to be, we just had a wildfire, up here in Idaho just this week, and I was thinking, I wonder if they require that the firefighters be vaccinated before they can go and put out the fire, right? Like
That would
'cause
be the dumbest thing in the
it'd be the
world.
dumbest thing. But if we're in the middle of a pandemic, they're firing the staff. Like, right?
Yeah.
Like, why? It's the dumbest thing in the world. There's no difference.
Yeah.
So, which makes me
That's
think,
true.
which makes me think that we're not really in the middle of a pandemic. I really wish somebody who what we really need is we need very high level hospital executives and insurance executives and the people at the hospital that deal with Medicare regulations and Medicaid regulations to sort of come forward and say, no, this is what's really happening. Because I believe there is a financial incentive that's happening for the hospitals with COVID, in that it's more profitable for the hospital to be short-staffed and have beds filled with COVID than it is for them to just run their business normally. Because you would never see this in any industry that was overwhelmed. They would never fire qualified people. It just wouldn't happen unless there is some sort of financial incentive for qualified people. It just wouldn't happen unless there is some sort of financial incentive. And I did hear that, the government gives every COVID bed that's filled $30,000 to the hospital. So I mean, that's a lot. I mean, that's at least a CNA salary every year, every bed, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
So I think in their minds, they're like, well, we can be short-staffed and we'll just fill COVID beds and, whatever. But I honestly, man, the only solution to this is just mass people quitting and just really applying pressure on the hospital industry. And then that way, it has to happen to such a degree that the hospitals can't just say, oh man, we're just overwhelmed. It has to happen in such a degree that they admit we're overwhelmed because we made a stupid decision. And I don't think there's enough people that have the guts and bravery to do that sort of thing. I think they're just going to get the sacrament and continue on with their lives as normal.
Well, what's crazy to me is not only do they mandate it, but they mandate it like across the board in ways that don't even that I at least can't even understand how they would benefit financially from. Because I don't even work in the medical. I work in the psychiatric.
Right.
So they're mandating, and obviously the medical staff have to be vaccinated, but they're also mandating it for the psychiatric staff, and they're mandating it for the people who work from home. So the people who only work from home but still work for the hospital, they're also mandating it for them. Like that doesn't make any sense. And I don't understand. Like, part of me is like there must be some financial benefit to it. Otherwise, why the heck are they doing it? But I can't even see the financial benefit, and yet they're still doing this this craziness, man.
Yeah, I think the financial benefit is government payment. I think that's what it is. And of course also and the government's happy to do it because the government wants to take over the entire healthcare industry anyway. So
yeah,
if it's easy, it's going to come to a point that the hospitals reach a financial breaking point, and that it's easier that the government's just going to say, well, because of COVID, we're just going to come in and rescue all the hospitals, and they'll do the same with the airline industries as well, and they'll just come in and take over the airline industry and take over the hospital industry, and then you have two major industries that are government run, and you're not far from a communist country at that point. So I mean that's just...
because everything the government runs is so efficient and beneficial, right?
Yeah, that's right. They do things so much better than everybody else. So, but yeah, you said there was Arizona. Arizona has a terrible new pro-life law too.
Yeah, I mean it's been several months now at this point. Probably like maybe even like 5 or 6 months. I'm not exactly sure, but they passed a bill that says that you can't kill the baby if the reason you're doing it is because the baby has Down syndrome. So, but that's like, who's going to go in? Now that that's law, who's going to go in and be like, hey, I'm going to kill this baby because it has Down syndrome?
Yeah.
No, all you have to do is just say I want to kill the baby because
I want to.
I don't want a baby right now. Yeah, I want to. I don't want a baby right now. And it repealed. So there was a current law. Well, no, not current. I'm sorry. There was a law that dates back from a while ago, but it had never been repealed. An Arizona law that made abortion illegal. And that had, I mean, it wasn't just punishments because it wasn't the death penalty, but it was like fines and whatnot for those who would both seek to get the abortion and those who would provide the abortion.
Yes.
So what that law did though is it repealed the portion of the Arizona law that had fines for the mom seeking the abortion. It kept the part of the law that the abortionist could be fined,